So, May King, I know you're a FOMO creator. What is a FOMO creator?
Well, FOMO means the fear of missing out. And I created this term, or actually it was my business mentor who came up with the term, to describe what I do for business owners. So FOMO means the fear of missing out. And you wouldn't want, so it's quite funny because when I first came out with that term, I did get trolled a little bit. I used to get messages saying, FOMO, I don't want FOMO, I want JOMO. And I sort of went back to them and I said, well, do you want the joy of prospective customers and clients to miss out on your business? No, of course you don't. So a FOMO creator, I create the buzz and excitement about your business on your behalf. You're already doing some incredible stuff, whatever it is you're doing, okay? You're making an impact on the world with whatever you're doing. You may be running an event, a conference, a festival, a workshop, a masterclass, and you're doing that to the people who are in the room. But what about the people who are outside of that room? What about the people who are lurking, okay? So on social media, we're all lurkers, right? We have a bit of a nosy to see what else is going on. What about those people? We want to create FOMO for the lurkers so that they will think, oh my gosh, what am I missing out on? I need to book onto the next event. And that's what a FOMO creator does. So I will create live social media content, whether it's on Twitter, on LinkedIn, on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube. I will do it on your behalf, on your account, at the rate of knots. So typically at an event, I can tweet on average 1,200 tweets a day. I have represented a company where they were on LinkedIn. So I wrote 22 live LinkedIn posts whilst the speakers were speaking. I've created 100 Instagram stories for a client that was specifically on Instagram. And the impact is either to get people to sign up to the next event or to raise awareness, to make inquiries. And I'm doing all that stuff while you are doing your magic, making an impact in the room. Does that make sense?
It makes tons of sense. I mean, when I first learned, and only recently really, when I learned about actually someone does it as a role, as their job, their business, wow, what is this FOMO? I mean, they've used it, I used it, learned from my children who are 20 plus. But once I saw it in business, I thought, I need to pay attention here. This is not just a hashtag. But how did you get into the business then? How did you get into the business of FOMO?
I did it for myself. I did it for my own business. So I am on all the socials, apart from LinkedIn. I'm as May King Tsang, but on all the socials, I am on as May King Tea. Making is my first name, Making Tea. And I used to have a tea business. So brilliant. When my tea business was flourishing, I would go and do interviews with people. So I would attend events like food festivals or business events, networking events, and I would interview people or I would talk to them and I would put onto social media who I've just met, who I've just spoken to, who I've just interviewed. And then more people think, oh, okay, who is this person? And so that's how I managed to get publicity for myself, really. And then other people would ask me, well, can you do that for me? And I said, yeah, sure. So Twitter was where is my first love. So I used to be a professional live tweeter for my own account, but also for other clients that started to come through. Yeah. And then it was last year I decided just put the tea to one side so that I can concentrate on live tweeting. But then my first client that I prospected when I came back to the UK, I said, would you like a professional live tweeter? And they said, well, can you do Facebook and Instagram as well? And I said, yeah, sure. You know, like all entrepreneurs do, you say yes, and then you worry about the details later. Yep. And that's what I did. So for my first event, so like I said, I've been a professional live tweeter on and off for 8 years. But, in 2019, it was last year, gosh, I prospected Andrew and Pete to the first conference, and they said, can you do other platforms at the same time? Yeah, no problem. So I tweeted for them 1,030 times. We reached 28 million people on the same day as International Women's Day. I did 5 Facebook Lives into their Facebook group, and I did 15 Instagram stories. And as a result of all that buzz and FOMO and excitement on all the platforms that I did from my phone, we sold 425 tickets within a week for this year's conference. So that's the impact that I can make at a huge conference. So, yeah.
Really? Well, you just can't afford not to have it, really, can you? It's just any marketing. So if someone wants to come to you and ask, say you've got a big business, you've got a small business, people working for themselves, and you're going to have them, obviously they're going to go, well, I probably won't be able to afford that sort of thing. Do they come and call you? Do you have like a price list? How does that work?
Yeah, I talk to them because it's something I invented, I suppose. I created this role for myself. And so there are a lot of, to use, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm going to quote an ex-US politician, but there are known knowns and there are unknown knowns, right? About FOMO creation. No, not president. He was Donald Rumsfeld. Anyway, okay. I don't know why I went there.
Irrelevant.
So, yes, I always like to engage in a conversation with everyone that I talk to discuss budget. And if they don't have the budget, I can definitely train people, because this is my tagline for FOMO Creator is bridging the gap between social media and PR. So it's not social media management. Social media managers, and I used to be a social media manager, so I can appreciate their work, is about doing research, creating posts and scheduling those posts. And then a community manager is about, responding to those posts and replying to them and, building the community for that, for that business. But a FOMO creator needs to think on their feet. They need to be live, real, raw, right now, because we are trying to make an impact for those lurkers. We're creating content for the lurkers effectively. So I can definitely give some guidance to social media managers to train them to become a FOMO creator effectively. And then, for anyone who is a social media manager or who do their own social media for their own business, they need to think, what they're doing on social media is great. I call that social media 1.0. But to be a FOMO creator, that's social media 2.0. And so I've got a couple of courses that are on my YouTube channel, which people can look at in order to be inspired by what kind of things they can do at an event. And this is virtual and in person as well. But if they want, to go a little bit deeper beyond the few ideas that I've put out on social, then they really need to talk to me.
Okay, we'll put your links on the page on LinkedIn when we get this out.
Lovely.
Okay, so this is an amazing role. I wouldn't mind doing that myself, but I've made my decision. I know what I'm doing. However, so everything we do now, we all focus on happiness these days, especially around our career. We've changed a lot. We look at our mental health. What's the impact for you in regards to your role now as a form? What's the change? Has it made it better, worse, or same?
How do you mean? I don't fully understand your question.
So if you're at this point, say your old role, what you were doing before, you have a scale 1 to 10, it was 7, you were happy. Now that you're in this role, has it made you happier? Is it your private life? Do you feel better within? Is your mental health better?
That's a great question. I think that because mental health has taken the stage in the last 4 to 5 years, and people are talking about it more, it has certainly helped me, and I know that it's definitely helped other people. So before I went into FOMO creating, I was in tea. between 2010 2016, I was in Australia and I was building my tea business there, and mental health hit me pretty badly. I had a personal circumstance, a sudden change in my personal circumstance, and yeah, I was depressed. I didn't realise I was depressed and not feeling great and not up to it. And it was actually, I have a lot to thank for Australia, because they actually had a series of programs to raise awareness about Mental Health Week. And that effectively, it sounds a bit of an exaggeration, but it actually saved my life watching those programs. And so after watching those programs, I realized that I needed to do something else to help myself. And then when immigration said I had to leave, so I left in 2016, came back to rebuild my life in the UK. I had to look after myself again. So I threw myself into work, which probably isn't the best thing to do. It served me well for about a year, and then I slumped again. And then, so then actually I took some therapy. It was recommended to me that I really need to take therapy, and throwing myself into work doesn't work. Only works to a certain extent. You need to get to the root of the problem, and that really did help me. So seeking professional help, admitting that I had to do something about it, seeking professional help, getting a business mentor as well, that is very aware of mental health, that helped me as well. So I am certainly, and I found love in my life again, so that has made me a lot happier too. So absolutely. A combination of all those, yes, I'm definitely happier. But having said that, I will go back into the tea, because tea is my first love. I just need to sort of either clone myself, or I need to put systems in place so that I can go back into the tea business. But,
great.
Is a great contributor, really help with mental health, and it's really helped me in some places. So.
Brilliant. Oh, thank you for sharing that with us, because it's important for people to know that, because everyone has their story, and it sounds like an amazing story that if you've not already put it out there and told us. Am I going to see it in a book later? Probably.
Well, I don't know. I mean, sometimes I feel like I don't want it to become my story. When I first came back to the UK, I wanted sympathy. I wanted people to think, "Oh my God, May King! Oh my God!" But now I don't want that to define me. I've dealt with that now, and I've had some help. So now it's about making the impact in the way that I want to make an impact. To help businesses make an even bigger impact than they're already making, and I do that through FOMO. So, yeah.
Brilliant. And you're in Sheffield now, is that right?
I am, yeah, sunny Sheffield.
Sunny Sheffield. So is it fair to call you a Sheffield lass?
No. Get out.
That's what they call it, don't they?
Yes. No, I'm probably, I call myself a Lancashire lass because I grew up in Bolton near Manchester.
Oh, okay.
So I grew up around there. I moved to Sheffield in 2016 to be closer to my brother and sister who went to uni, and they stayed here. And then I was lucky enough to bring my parents over from Bolton to Sheffield. So we're all happy here in Sheffield, which is lovely.
Oh, amazing. Well, look,
I've got
you are, yeah. Well, listen, I've got some friends in Sheffield, and they've never been anywhere else. So it's just in Sheffield. And it's like, okay, there is another world out there, but they're proud and happy of being Sheffield.
It's a beautiful city. I mean, it has the, it's a city. So it has the digital space is very dynamic, and it actually was home to the first pop-up store that was arranged by Google. So they were really in there. Yes, they're quite advanced in their digital space, but it doesn't have the unfriendliness of London, as a city. It has a lot of greenery. London has a lot of greenery, but people talk to each other. not like London. So it has the best of both worlds, Sheffield. Yeah.
I have heard that quite a bit about the really nice people. I mean, I was I'm not from Yorkshire. I was born in Yorkshire, but I've come from down south. So I'm a southerner, but all my family are from Yorkshire, and they're certainly much nicer that way, more honest and open, if I can say that. That's probably now everyone from South London is going to probably hate me now for saying that. But anyway, I want to ask you some questions, some fun questions.
Ooh.
Okay.
Ooh.
Yep. So here's the first one. Are you ready? If we had some aliens that wanted to come and visit here, okay?
Yes.
Which country would you recommend them to go and visit so they would actually represent this world, and why?
Oh gosh, to represent this world, blimey!
In your perspective, what do you feel would be the best country for them to visit?
Do you know? I'm going to say New Zealand because I think generally the human race is full of good people. It's just a shame that the press gives precedence to the bad people in the world. I think people are generally good. And New Zealand is just a huge representation of, I mean, Jacinda Ardern is the most incredible Prime Minister. And if we could just clone her and just have her represent, everywhere, and Angela Merkel, oh gosh, I'm terrible now. I can't remember the Taiwanese leader who happens to be female.
Isn't that ironic?
Yes. Yes, they. I think New Zealand represents the human race. Most of us are good. And it's a beautiful place, and most of us do want to make an impact on the world in our own way. And I think that's where you should visit, aliens. Go to New Zealand.
Go to New Zealand. That's a good one.
Yes.
Very good. Well done for having a quick question. We won't even prepare any preparation for that. Right, now another one is going to be more personal. So in your childhood, where you didn't have a photo taken, but if you had a chance to have that photo taken again, what would that be? Can you think?
Wow. Gosh. So I didn't have a photograph taken, but I wish it had been taken.
These questions came to me this morning, by the way. It's like, yeah. And it was like, I thought of you and these questions popped up. Don't know why. They just did.
Wow. Okay, I think I was a little bit older, but I've been, prone. We talked about racism before, so I have been bullied, and I have, I have had racist taunts at me. One day, there was a girl who she just bullied me all the time. And, like any, girl, the teachers say, just ignore them. So I ignored them, but it obviously built something up. And one day in my drama class, she did her usual thing, and I just went, out of frustration and tears and stuff. And I think because I remember lots of photographs of, really powerful photographs taken of a protester against the police, or protester against, marching and so on. And just capturing me crying and shouting at this girl about, why are you bullying me? We became best friends later. So, my drama teacher came in and he said, what's going on here? And, I didn't call her out. I just said, I'm just really upset. And so, and then, she was my best mate after that. So I wish capturing that moment to show that I can stand up to bullies, and I should continue to stand up, because most of the time I'll allow, and I still do, I'm working on it though, I still allow myself to be bullied. If someone badgers me enough, then I just kind of give in, and I'll think, whatever, you obviously need this more than I do, so I'm going to give it to you. I actually, a couple of years ago, a couple of years ago, I was catfished, and I was very ashamed. Not proud. Too proud to sort of tell people about it. I was too ashamed, and I regret that. I should have, I deleted every resonance of it, but really I should have thought about it and thought, well, actually, I should have put my story out there and called this person out, because it may help other people. So yeah, I'm still working on the not being bullied thing.
Wow. Two answers there, very deep and very fantastic. I wasn't expecting those at all. Brilliant. I can't wait to the last one. No, but seriously, that's a very insight of your life and past. And it's also interesting for people, the audience, to see that, it's not a free ride for you guys. It's been hell, and you just don't say anything, and we all think it's all hunky-dory. We meet you, you're smiling, you're laughing. Oh, she's been happy, she's a happy person, whatever. Yes, you are, but there is all this shit that's going on, and no one's telling. But it's really nice to hear it, and I'm probably using the word nice is not probably the right term to use, but it is good to hear saying these. Right, okay, you ready for the last question?
Okay then.
Okay, so this is kind of a common question, but it's going to be in a two-part. So if you had one wish, okay, well, two wishes actually. One wish is for the world, and one wish is for you personally. So you've got a wish for the world that you can change anything you want, or anything in that wish, and one wish for yourself. So it has to be something that's selfish or personal, and one for the world.
One for the world is actually it's for me as well, because I was born as a Scorpion, so I'm fiery.
Okay.
And so
Scorpion, I've got that noted down. Careful.
And I'm also born in the year of the ox, so I'm hardworking and loyal, but I'm obstinate. So I think the wish that I would want for the world and for myself is sometimes just to pause. So before you lash out at that person, just have a think, just step into someone else's shoes. I think a lot of the world's problems are driven by ego and selfishness, because they cannot see beyond what they want in their little world, but actually there's a bigger world out there, So if we can just pause and think about what we do before we go ahead and do it, just think. I think that would hopefully make the world a bit of a better place, really.
You've done it again.
Yeah.
Amazing answer. I was expecting, peace in the world, but you come up with a very insight deep again. Absolutely, I agree with you. If we can stop and actually take somebody else's thought process and step in their shoes, it will stop all this argument, and put a few more women in charge as well, because then we might not have so many wars.
Well, yeah. That's exactly right.
That is brilliant.
Change is coming.
It is coming. It is coming, and we'll see it go through. It's interesting because when I kind of always keep saying that from the 80s, but I was a teen in the 80s, so that's kind of when it's more influential. But it's not a good time. It was skinheads and things like that around as well.
Yeah.
Late 70s, 80s. But when we got out, I got married in 88. By the time I was married in 88, things were so much better for a white person. But it seemed so much better. There were no more the skinheads. There were no more in front of people. So when this all started bursting out and what was going on, it was so disappointing, which seems an underwhelming word to use. But it was disappointing because because I never read newspapers or anything. I never have stopped that 20 years ago. But I always then felt, we're happy. Everyone's happy. Let them get on with their world. And now it's become we all have to play our part. You don't have to be angry with it or anything. Just play your part, do your part. But but just don't not say anything. That is the worst part.
That's exactly right. And so I'm in my late 40s, I suppose. I'm 46 now, aren't I? Yeah. So I know exactly what you mean, growing up with the, National Front and all the rest of it. And so I had, in the late 80s, early 90s, I thought that the world was becoming a better place. But actually, racism just went underground. And now, racism has been legitimized through immigration policies and, Johnson and Trump, saying what they're saying. And, and it seems to be okay, and so that's why we've got, a license, exactly. So now we've got the rise of the right, and again, with Donald Trump refusing the rights for immigrants to stay as an excuse, it's just horrendous. So there's still a lot more work that needs to be done. We need to educate ourselves. We need to protest. We need to get out onto the streets, or if we can't get out onto the streets because of, I self-isolated before COVID because I was considered to be a vulnerable person, but I thought, what can I do? What can I do? And so by continuing to share, you don't necessarily to hear my voice because it's all been written before. It's all been eloquently put by, by documentary writers, screenwriters, and so on. So I just need to share what what I watched and what was good, and comment on other people's thoughts. And if people have a comment to say to me, then I will engage in conversation. That's what I can do. But I do it on the social media platform so that more people can see why this is important.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, listen, thank you, May King. It's been a wonderful conversation with you. Unexpected answers for sure. Very deep. Very great answers. 10 out of 10 for all of those.
Thank you.
I wish you well, and I certainly will be looking at more in your business and things, and for not just for myself, for other people, because it's definitely worth recommending people to look at that and just have a chat with you at least, and find out what's going on.
Hey, thank you so much for inviting me to be on your podcast. I really appreciate it. And it's quite a different podcast to other ones I've been on. So
hey, thank you for listening to 360 Chat podcast. We'll see you the next time.